And welcome to the Ruby Tuesday. My name is Ruben.
And I'm Kay.
And today we're doing something slightly different. I thought I would give you what I think is the top 20 best Netflix series on Netflix at the moment, in my opinion, in our opinion.
In your opinion?
Yes, in my opinion.
There is an amazing amount of content on there, and often we're sitting through there just scrolling through, trying to figure out what we want to watch, even though we've started like 10 billion series. But there is actually some amazing content on Netflix, and I wanted to give you what I think is my top 20. I've ranked them, but please bear in mind that your ranking will be totally different, probably. Let me know in the comments below. Let us know in the comments below what you think is your top 20, or even just your top 10. What are some of your favorite series? You probably might be surprised at what's going to go in this list, because I'm going to include some anime and some non-English speaking original titles, because some are just fantastic. So you may be surprised at where the series rank, because I have rated mine, and you can go watch my reviews from the Netflix original series. But sometimes some of those non-English speaking series just creep up at the A+ level because they're really great. So let's dive in and let me know in the comments what you think. At number 20, starting at the bottom, we have It's Bruno.
This short-form series follows a man and his beloved dog Bruno as they stroll through the streets of Bushwick, Brooklyn.
I was very surprised by this series. It's a very short episode length, and the scripting with this was very entertaining. It was much better than I thought it was going to be.
Can't see with my glasses on.
The combination of this guy with his dog, who just loves his dog, and he kind of doesn't want anybody else in his world, and anybody that comes near his dog, you know, just don't touch my dog. And he tries to get his dog into all these other stores and get them a part of the community. And there's all this other stuff going on around the centralized premise of just a man and his dog. And I loved it. I thought it was great. Number 19, Dead to Me.
Jen's husband recently died in a hit and run, and she is determined to solve the crime. There's an optimistic free spirit called Judy, and who's recently suffered a tragic loss of her own. The ladies meet at a support group, and despite their polar opposite personalities, become unlikely friends. As the women bond over bottles of wine and a shared affinity for the facts of life, Judy tries to shield Jen from a shocking secret that could destroy her life as she knows it.
So we were really surprised by this. Why did you like this so much?
I thought the scripting was phenomenal.
Okay.
Yeah, I just thought it was so fun to watch because it was so cleverly written.
I think Christina Applegate's talent shines through here as part of the scripting. As you heard, they're part of the showrunners for this series, and they're amazing. What they put together on each episode, it flows really nicely. It's like it's well put together as a series. There is going to be more because it leaves it on quite a cliffhanger, and they reveal bit by bit. I think it's somewhat, you could guess what's going to happen in parts.
Yeah.
So sometimes when you thought it was going one way, it goes another way. And I think that's really fun. But because the scripting is so tight, it was just really good. At number 18, we have Ozark.
This drama series stars Jason Bateman as Marty Bird, a financial planner who relocates his family from Chicago to a summer resort community in the Ozarks. With wife Wendy and their 2 kids in tow, Marty is on the move after a money laundering scheme goes wrong, forcing him to pay off a substantial debt to a Mexican drug lord in order to keep his family safe.
This is one of those series that you go along the ride and you see the family just dig themselves in deeper and deeper and deeper into nonsense. And every time they're trying to figure out how to do something, how to get out of the predicament they're in, they're getting more shit. The first episode is a true telling point of whether you're going to enjoy this. I put this series off for ages, and then I put the first episode on, and 9 hours later I was still watching. It's fantastic. Scripting, cinematography, Jason Bateman, I never in a million years thought that he would be able to pull off this show within the writing, which he does do, within the directing, which he does do. But the character that he plays, I see him as a comedy actor. But this, he was fantastic in amongst the cornucopia of amazing actors that is in this. This is one of my best. This is why it's in at number 18.
Number 17, Sacred Games.
So Sacred Games is great for cinematography and character development. There's a police officer named Singe. He receives a tip about a criminal overlord, and he embarks on a chase around Mumbai in what becomes a very dangerous cat and mouse game. India have been giving out some phenomenal series, and this is the one that drew me into what they could do. I didn't know that they, of course they did, but this is the first time through Netflix I saw the talent behind the camera. And cinematography wise, especially the night shooting is fantastic. What they could do with the pacing and tone with the character, you're solving the case with Singe as you watch it. It's based on a book, and there are going to be 4 seasons apparently. I'm pretty positive that's what's going to happen, even though some people disagree with me. There's going to be 4 seasons. We've had 2, and they're going to finish the next 2. It's still coming, so you know the story's ongoing, but they have an idea of where they're going to finish it. And each episode just draws you into a really great story, but then each season finishes with a big cliffhanger, so don't be surprised when that happens, but just looks phenomenal. Orange is the New Black at number 16.
Piper Chapman is a public relations executive with a career and a fiancé when her past suddenly catches up with her. In her mid-30s, she is sentenced to spend time in a minimum security women's prison in Connecticut for her association with a drug runner 10 years earlier.
This is one of Netflix's flag titles. It has won many awards. You can just go check it out on any kind of news related article. You'll see they've just been flooded. They've done really well. They've been going for 7 seasons. It's a complete arc. It's finished now, so if you get invested in this, know that there's a complete story, which is great. I think sometimes stuff just keeps going on, or they get cancelled, so you never know whether to be invested in the characters. Don't worry, you can be for this one. The story starts out about Piper, and she is the core protagonist throughout the 7th season. Very quickly, even within the first season, they are introducing many of the core protagonists that journey along with Piper. And it's just some of the best writing you're likely to see with drama. The story writing, the scripting, and what goes on within that, I think is just fantastic. And you'll understand when you watch it, which is why it's at 16.
At number 15 is Afterlife. Tony had a perfect life until his wife Lisa died. After that tragic event, the formerly nice guy changed. After contemplating taking his own life, Tony decides he would rather live long enough to punish the world by saying and doing whatever he likes.
So this is a Ricky Gervais show through and through. Written, directed, acted. And you don't really like Ricky Gervais.
I have to admit that I don't, but I did enjoy this.
This took us by surprise. The emotion through the scripting and the acting, I wasn't expecting to be that emotionally involved. I have to admit I had to swallow hard quite a few times while watching this. And I'm eagerly awaiting season 2, which there is going to be. Netflix have invested in. It's been well received by everyone as far as I'm aware, by critics alike. It's been given generally 5 stars because it's great. So
watch it.
This is definitely one. If you've been thinking about it and you're not sure on the fence, if you don't like Ricky's
brand of humor,
this kind of works for the story.
Give it a go.
Yeah. At number 14, Russian Doll.
Emmy-nominated actress Natasha Lyonne stars in this comedy drama series as Nadia, a young woman who's on a journey to be the guest of honor at a party in New York City. But she gets caught in a mysterious loop as she repeatedly attends the same event and dies the same night each time.
So Natasha Lyonne, she was one of the main actors in Orange is the New Black. So you may see her face, you may know her. And she is through and through, again, one of the main creators of this show. What's unique about this show is it does one thing for the first half and then does another thing for the second half. And I don't want to say anything because that spoils it. But between the scripting and the acting, which is very quirky, very interesting, very fun, but it's a bit of a mind bender. And that's what I enjoyed about it.
Yeah. At number 13, Castlevania.
This anime series is a dark medieval fantasy. It follows the last surviving member of the disgraced Belmont clan, Trevor Belmont, trying to save Eastern Europe from extinction at the hands of Vlad Dracula Tepe. As Dracula and his legion of vampires prepare to rid the world of humanity's stain, Belmont is no longer alone, and he and his misfits comrades race to find a way to save mankind from the grief-maddened Dracula. If you're a fan of Castlevania, the original in whatever form from games, this is one of them that is one of the few stories that have been transposed from game to anime, and it's been done well. The animator or the animated series and the director and the script, they obviously love the content, so they've done it so well that they've really harkened back to the original content. If you're a fan of Castlevania, you'll no doubt know about some of the things, even the music. There's a particular score bit that they use within the series that had people that are close to it in tears because they had done it such justice. So if you're a fan of anime and you haven't seen this, you should give it a go. The first season's, I believe, only 4 episodes, so there's not much to sink your teeth into there, but there is a second season that's on there as well. But get going with the first season and see what you think. I think the animation is brilliant. At 12 we have Lucifer for season 4 actually. Based on the characters created by Neil Gaiman, Lucifer, the original fallen angel who has become dissatisfied with his life in hell after abandoning his throne and retiring to Los Angeles, Lucifer indulges in his favorite things, women and wine and song, until a murder takes place outside of his upscale nightclub. Thank you, Netflix, for saving Lucifer, first of all. This is not an original series, Lucifer. It wasn't until it was cancelled, and then Netflix came to save the day, and now we have the 4th season on Netflix. Season 4 is split fans, actually. Some love it, some didn't like it. They think because we're able to binge the 10 episodes of Lucifer entirely, that it was almost too rushed, because it was quickly since they were cancelled and then suddenly they made them and it was on Netflix fairly quickly. I think it's the strongest because there is no watershed, so they were allowed to do what they wanted to do without having any of their hands tied because of swearing or sexual stuff. Not that they needed that, but sometimes they do feel like they're a bit held back, and I think it's found its home on Netflix, although we're only getting 1 more season and then it's done.
At number 11, Travelers. Hundreds of years in the future, the last surviving humans discover a way of sending consciousness back through time directly into people in the 21st century. Travelers who assume the lives of seemingly random people. They're also secretly working as teams to perform missions in order to save humanity from a terrible future.
This one was unique because we've seen TV series deal with time travelers or time traveling in different way. Quantum Leap, all of that. We've seen, even recently, we've seen loads. But this one did it differently and was really interesting to watch.
It was unique and refreshing. I really enjoyed the characters. I enjoyed the scripting. I thought it was, scientifically, it was fun. It was interesting. It was obviously drama, but there was also an enjoyable element to it.
Yeah. At number 10, we have Mindhunter.
Catching a criminal often requires the authorities to get inside the villain's mind to figure out how he thinks. That's the job of FBI agents Holden Ford and Bill Tench. They attempt to understand and catch serial killers by studying their damaged psyche.
So this one, I think you should watch purely because it's a tour de force into acting and how to do just simple scenes, but have them intense. A lot of it is just interviews around the table, interviewing serial killers.
Yeah.
But it's still fantastic. It's just riveting.
Yeah.
There's a particular actor that plays Kemble, a serial killer. Martin Kemble, is that right?
Edwin Kemper.
Edward Kemper. Don't know where I got that name from.
Kemper.
Ed Kemper. And the scenes that he portrays the killer are phenomenal. In fact, I've now seen how accurate they are. There's the real serial killer, and if you look how they modeled him and the way he acted between the videos and stuff, it's almost identical. And it's eerie. I would say be careful when you watch it, because you might have interesting dreams, and if you're affected easily,
like me,
you might have interesting dreams. But it's a tour de force in acting. At number 9, we have The Haunting of Hill House.
This modern reimagining of the Shirley Jackson novel follows siblings who, as children, grew up in what would go on to become the most famous haunted house in the country. Now adults, they are forced back together in the face of tragedy and must finally confront the ghosts of their past.
There have been many versions of the House on Haunted Hill or Haunting of Hill House, whichever way you want to put the title, because that's what they do when they change it up. But this is one of the best, and mostly because of Mike Flanagan. He's been wanting this series for a long time. Stephen King recently said he watched it and he says it's one of the creepiest things he's seen. Not because it's jump scares, but because the way they build it up. So by the time you get to something that is scary, they've built it so much up that you're terrified. If you watch people's reaction on YouTube, you'll see how scary it is. Again, it's not horrifying, but they build it and build it. Great storytelling. There is a second season coming, but it's not to do with the same characters.
Ooh.
At number 8, we have Santa Clarita Diet.
Drew Barrymore and Timothy Olyphant star in this Netflix original series as married realtors Sheila and Joel, who are living a quiet life, raising their teenage daughter in Santa Clarita, California. Their world unexpectedly changes when Sheila goes through a dramatic transformation that sends her down a road of death and destruction, but leaves her looking and feeling better than ever.
There are 3 seasons of this, and it's been cancelled. So boo to Netflix for that, because this is one of the funniest and most entertaining zombie series I've seen in a long time. It's zombie in a weird way. There are characters that you immediately love. You love the family unit. You're rooting for them. I was the whole time. There are weird creatures. I mean, they don't do the normal zombie thing. It's different. At the same time, it's almost like Dexter in a way, because she becomes a killer. She has to eat. If you watch any of the trailers, you'll understand that they have to find meat. Fresh meat, and there are ways they go about it that makes it really interesting. I do the comparison to Dexter because they even do like a kill room. It was so much fun, and even though there are only 3 seasons and it doesn't quite finish the storyline that they left hanging a bit, it's really fun. That's why it's at number 8. Kingdom, number 7.
The deceased king rises and a mysterious plague begins to spread. The prince must face a new breed of enemies to unveil the evil scheme and save his people.
This is a Netflix original Korean drama, zombie, fantasy, horror series.
All of the above.
And the reason why I put it at number 7, because it's brilliant. It is one of the best zombie shows I've ever seen, and mostly because it does zombie differently. They're almost not zombies. I think you step away from what you know as a traditional zombie, and you mix it with, I guess, different lore. At the same time, you have massive, like, big scale scenes, which you don't normally see in zombies. Always kind of close combat, close eating. But this is wide. You see hundreds of people on screen at some times, like great epics. And that's what I loved. It felt like a great epic, but at the same time, it was zombie. And then it leaves you with a massive cliffhanger, and we are getting a season 2.
Yay. At number 6, Black Spot. A police inspector investigates a string of murders in a town where the murder rate is 6 times higher than the rest of the country.
Black Spot is an original French interesting drama. It's the characters that make this really great. The story is interesting and it's weird, and it's kind of has a feel of X-Files. It's the murder rate is ridiculous, and there's obviously a reason for that. There's the sheriff and characters within the sheriff's department. Everybody has multiple jobs.
Yeah,
they're all
really
doing
small town.
Yeah, one's a fire department, one's a coroner. You know, you do so many things because that's what you need to do in a small town. So everybody knows everybody's business, but actually what's going on underneath is really dark, and it's really interesting. At number 5, Dark.
When 2 children go missing in a small German town, its sinful past is exposed, along with the double lives and fractured relationships that exist among 4 families as they search for the kids. The mystery drama series introduces an intricate puzzle filled with twists that include a web of curious characters, all of whom have a connection to the town's troubled history.
So Dark is one of the best things I've seen on TV in like forever. Take timey-wimey stuff and multiply its interest in not knowing where it's going to go. Just when you figured it out, you haven't figured it out. End of season 1, I thought I'd kind of figured it out, and then season 2 just blew my mind. The visuals between the cinematography and the story are often part of the best thing about this series. The characters are interesting, but it's definitely the story. You're always trying to figure out what's going on. There are 2 seasons on Netflix at the moment, and there's going to be a 3rd, and that will complete it. It's always meant to be a trilogy, so there will be a 3rd, apparently, as long as it doesn't get cancelled. I can't see why not. It's quite highly acclaimed, and a lot of people say this is much better than Stranger Things. A lot of people say this should be Netflix's flag series because of just how great it is. It's got a very strong following. So if you haven't seen it, you may want to give it a go. It is a German Netflix original series. Before we do our top 3, we're just going to do some honorable mentions, and that is of the Marvel Netflix series. Get to it before they take it off, because it might go to the Disney streaming service, although it's still on there at the moment. I loved Jessica Jones.
Yeah, season 1 was awesome.
I loved Daredevil and Punisher. They're all great acting, great story. If you love comic book stuff, but you think sometimes it's too kid-friendly, these are not. These are for adults. And they just great. It's not in my top 20, but it's an honorable mention because I think if you're a fan of that world at all, you should definitely check it out before they go, because who knows how long they have the license for it. The OA, and we're not even going to read a description for this because we just want to talk about it.
Yeah, because it's super awesome. So the OA is, I guess, one of my favorites of all time because it's so interesting. It's so unusual. It's so different. It keeps you questioning. It keeps you guessing. Every season is different, and I'm absolutely heartbroken that it's cancelled.
I know, it does suck.
What were they thinking?
Yeah. And in season 2, it has one of my all-time favorite characters, and I really wanted to know. There was just one episode with this character, and I really wanted to know what the hell that was about. I wanted to know more about that character and fleshed it out. It was so fantasy and excellent. Such a great character just to throw in there. And that's what OA does. It just like throws things at you and you're like, what is happening? And it's fantastic. I don't want to spoil anything for you. If you haven't seen it, go and watch it.
Yeah.
When you watch it again so you pick up more as you go along. And then be sad with us because it's being cancelled.
Yeah. But even though it's been cancelled, it's so good.
Worth it.
Yeah, worth it. Worth the not knowing at the end.
Number 3 is Stranger Things. And I love Stranger Things, mostly for nostalgia, 80s nostalgia. I love all those films. Goonies, Never Ending Story. And so now we have The Upside Down. And if you haven't heard about The Upside Down by now, you've probably been living in space because it's one of the most popular series on Netflix, if not the most popular. We've had 3 seasons. If you've been umming and ahhing about it, if you love 80s nostalgia at all, but with a really great, fun, quirky storyline that at times is horrific, it's horror, at times it's science fantasy, it has like these melds of, I guess, genres, but then it twists it upside down often. And see what I did there? Yes. And the characters, you just love the kids that portray these characters, but at the same time you love the adults. So Winona Ryder is fantastic in this. I'm so good.
And the sheriff.
Yeah. The characters that you come to love, and others that you come to love, which I won't mention.
No.
Again, it's a universe that, a world that they've created that feels very real to us because of the nostalgia, the posters, the characters that you see in it. You can't help but love it. At number 2, Altered Carbon, and we're not going to do a description for this either.
Yeah, because also super awesome. Sorry, I'll be more specific than that.
It's super awesome, great.
Yeah, super awesome.
Tell us about it, babe.
Okay, Altered Carbon is set in the future.
Yep.
Where basically you can body swap. You can wear...
Yeah.
You can wear meat suits.
Like your subconscious is transferred into a meat suit.
Yes.
Of your choosing.
Yes.
It's based off a book.
You go.
It's based off a book. It's cyberpunk. If you're like me and you're waiting for the Cyberpunk 2077 game, this will fill your niche, your need for cyberpunkness, because it's so cyberpunk. It's awesome. And it does it well. It doesn't look cheap. There's no CG that you're going, ugh, that's CG.
What's that?
The acting is phenomenal, but where this shines is because it's based on a really great, loved book. They've taken and they've adapted it fairly well. I know some fans don't like some, and it's hard to please fans who love original content to this, but I haven't read the book, but I know it's well sought after or loved. And the story is so great. It kept me riveted every episode.
Absolutely. And
Joel Kinnaman, he just holds. There are many actors that are great in this, but he just holds presence on screen.
Yeah, he does. And I just thought it was beautifully done. Like the world that they created was so intricate and so interesting.
So interesting, yeah. Which brings us to number 1. Number one. Dark Crystal.
So like, meh.
Number 1. That was a funny voice.
Okay.
That's a good number 1. Number 1. Recently it came out, Dark Crystal, the series, and you might go, what? Ahead of everything else? How dare you? Let me just say, 1 to 3 can be interchangeable. They're fantastic. 1 to 4, in fact, can be interchangeable. 1 to 20, in fact, can be interchangeable, because all of these are subjective. So you might look at some of these and change them, and I'm sure that's fine. But Dark Crystal has recently been released. It's 10 episodes of pure genius puppetry with animatronics, CG, and a storyline that's really great. Some people are already saying this is the Lord of the Rings of our generations for Netflix, or Game of Thrones. It's that good. It's already caught the attention of many people, and most people that have seen it love it. It's bringing generations together, which I think is fantastic. And one of the best things of all is that Netflix have taken a chance on something that most people or most producers or networks wouldn't.
Yeah.
If you said, I'm going to bring back puppets. You remember Dark Crystal, that movie with puppets that Jim Henson did once upon a time in the 80s? We're going to do a series with puppets and it's going to cost millions. They would laugh you out of the office. They'd say, not on your life. But Netflix have greenlit this, and I'm sure they're going to do a few more series because I think there's space to do it. They haven't linked up the film and the series together exactly. So if you like an immersive fantasy world on Avatar scale, that's what it feels like, with amazing puppetry and animatronics and CG, give it a go. Well done. If you've managed to reach this far into the video, then well done, because it's a longer video than normal. I hope you like our top 20. Let us know in the comments below if we've missed anything out, if there's something that we should have added in.
Yep.
I'm sure there is. Our honorable mentions only covered the Marvel Netflix series, but I am aware there are many other series. There are some I haven't mentioned because I haven't seen them, so I couldn't really rate them, but because we can't watch everything.
Oh, we try. We
do try, yes. But yeah, let us know your top 10 or top 20 in the comments below. I'm happy to look at them. I'd love to chat to you there. But most of all, until next time, remember,
live long and choose well.